Hey, so welcome everybody. This week we're having a webinar on the Atlanta Metro. We last visited Atlanta about a couple years ago brought a giant group of Sarah friends over, about 60 of us, and we went and toured all around. And it was really, really beautiful. So a bunch of us did invest in there, and we've seen pricing go up over the pandemic, but the markets have definitely changed. It's really a buyer's market. Recently, over the last couple months, I've been selling a lot of our portfolio off with about 11 duplexes. And as a seller, I'm mad. I'm so mad. Like my face don't look mad just because I'm cute and I'm all smiley. I'm mad. But I figured if I'm not making much money or I'm losing money, there's someone benefiting off of this, and those are buyers. And if I could redo all of this again, I would. I would come back to Atlanta and pick these up at a fraction price. But hopefully right now I can sell off these portfolio and my nightmare, make up enough money to buy myself more egg coffee, and then move on to new projects. So I wanted to introduce to you guys Rae Johnson, who's out in EXP in Atlanta. She's my agent that's been helping me with our sales. So out of the 11 duplexes so far, we're almost more than halfway through. We've gotten five sold and we have two in contract, and then that's going to be closing in just a couple days. And with a couple more, just four more left, we are done. So I wanted to kind of have her go over what you guys have been seeing or what we've been seeing as sellers, and then also we want to talk about strategies. Because the thing is, through these sales, it's been really, really difficult. And I've learned so much from the interactions, and a lot of the lessons that I've been learning, it can actually be applied not only over to Atlanta, but in many other states. So we'll first start off with learning about the Atlanta market, what went on in our deals, and maybe like even how we got into this mess and how we're pulling ourselves out. So I'm really glad to see some of our folks that are in here. I see a couple of our friends are Atlanta investors, and as well as Simi, one of our lender friends out there. So maybe he can always give us some backside ideas on how we can finance some of these projects. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Rae. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Annie. So, as Annie mentioned, I'm Rae Johnson. I'm a top 5% producing agent here in Atlanta. I do service majority of Georgia, so I'm always looking for the best deals. So, a little bit about the Atlanta market and update topics. So, today we are going to talk about an introduction to Atlanta, the overview of Atlanta, the duplexes that Annie hates, and then also example deals and Georgia map to kind of show you kind of where those locations are and then why you should invest in Atlanta. So the majority of the companies that are super major are UPS, Equifax, Coca-Cola, Home Depot, Delta, Georgia Pacific, Southern Company, and so many more. Those companies see the value in Atlanta and they invest in very large businesses out here. And it's really attractive because it's the home of a lot of young professionals, families, and things like that. It also makes for like an ideal relocation for not only new job opportunities, but also the attractions. So we do have the Fox Theater, Atlanta Beltline, State Farm Arena, Georgia Aquarium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and then lots of nightlife and restaurants, which for you, it may not be as important, but for us as real estate agents, it is because the more things that people can do, the more jobs that people can have, the best turnout that you guys will have for not only tenants, but also people looking to buy and sell. So I have found that people relocating, they tend to not want to initially purchase right off the bat. They like to rent for at least a year. And then sometimes they actually turn into, year renters. So they'll sign long-term leases and things like that. Just to make sure not only the company is a good fit, but also the area is a good fit. So I think that that would benefit you guys. So how's the market? So if you can see here, the average days on market, this is for the entire FMLS, which is the complete Metro Atlanta area. So it has a lot of data, a lot of houses to include luxury, to include the very, very smallest houses. So typically, the average days on market have been pretty high when it comes to January. And those are kind of like the off months. And so around the holidays, we tend to see an increase in the days on market. And that's considered more of our off season. People typically buy and sell during these times. They're going through one of the 5 Ds. So that is death, divorce, downsizing, diamonds, or diapers. So they're looking to really make a change and they're having to. They're not necessarily waiting for the best price. This is really good for you guys because of the fact that you can get a really good deal, as Annie had mentioned, especially right now in a buyer's market, plus the off season. So today we are about at a 51 days on market on average, and that's about right here. And then also on the flip side, the average sales price, it tends to be lower during the holiday and off season. People aren't able to sell for like the highest amount because it's not in selling season. And selling season here is typically around March or April until about August, September. So those are when you have the most competition on the market. Sellers are still giving good deals during that time. It's just a lot of times they tend to price the house a little bit higher, which if you have current inventory and you're looking to sell it, that's a really good time to sell it and then purchase maybe in the winter months. So today we're at about an average sales price of 500,000. However, keep in mind this is like the entire MLS. So again, it includes luxury homes as well. So depending on what you're looking for in your investment style, your numbers may be a little bit different. And why is this important to you? You may be asking that in your head. The figures are important when determining our ability to be able to negotiate closing costs, be able to negotiate the best deal possible, lower price potential, purchase. Also, keep in mind that your investments are going to look a little bit different depending on your goals. So, the use case is the duplexes. So, some investors like to do single family homes, some like to do duplexes or multifamily. I wanted to give you kind of a quick example of one of our current deals. As Annie mentioned, the task was to sell 11 duplexes. They're around the same area in Lawrenceville. And so we have been able to be very strategic on how we are doing these things, meaning we don't want to flood the market. Flooding the market with all of the duplexes at once, half of them are in the same subdivision. So that would just not even look very good. And people would end up probably giving us the lowest price possible. But some of our challenges have been that all of the duplexes are in different conditions. Even like one door to one door in the same duplex it could be in completely different depending on how the renter has taken care of the property, which as investors, I know you guys know this. But being able to get in touch with tenants has been a challenge, especially for when you're under contract. We've tried to not disturb the tenants and things like that until we are under contract, which is good for you guys. If you have a tenant that you can actually get in touch with, they don't mind showings, things like that. That's like the best case scenario. That has not been our deal on these duplexes, but we've been able to get it done. Working with other agents during the negotiation period has also been a challenge, but we have come up with some creative strategies. And that is to really dial into my network. As the representative, I've been able to dial into my network. Annie has dialed into her network. We have been able to sell some of them off market and some of them from the MLS, which has been great because then we don't have to worry about the whole flooding the market situation. And then also, we recently had an instance where a tenant was placed in a unit that was already under contract. And after brainstorming, which we had to do, we were able to move the tenant to a different duplex that has the same floor plan. And that was able to save that deal and then also appease the tenant and then still keep money in, the client's pocket, the client as in the seller. So that ended up working out. But also with some of the things that I know Annie was alluding to is being creative with how the deals are also structured. So in some instances, if we are selling multiple duplexes, and let's just say it's like 400,000, we're asked to accept an offer at 380. And we have to consider that now that home will become our comparable. So we have to be careful what we accept. Otherwise, it's going to be comparable for the next home and it's just going to increasingly lower the purchase price for the next one and the next one and the next one until there's no profit to be made at all. So those are some creative things that we've had to do and be very strategic with how we possibly do closing costs, et cetera. And we do have two of the duplexes under contract. We're looking to sell the remaining four duplexes, and that would complete the total 11. And then I felt that this was important to tell you guys so you can have an idea of the market pressures, like some strategic strategies that we've had to come up with to be able to get these sold and also like overcome different obstacles that we've run into, whether that's working with property management, working with the tenant, working with the other agent, the buyer, and then also the condition of the duplexes.
So let's turn also this around a little bit is can you tell us a little bit more about like are multifamilies a common thing for Atlanta? Like are most people like what the type of sales that you see? Is it or if they are they like really, really old or issues with those?
Yeah, so most of the time the duplexes are old because they don't really make duplexes or multifamilies anymore. So it's kind of like rinse and repeat the same ones over and over again to new investors. And a lot of the investors, what they're doing is they may come in and kind of rehab the whole thing and then sell it to another investor because they don't want to buy and hold, they want to fix and flip. So, that kind of updates it, but they're not really making more duplexes per se. They're making more townhomes than they are duplexes. And even with a lot of the investors that I work with now, they're mainly single family. And if they do like the whole building process, because I've also had investors that buy a piece of property and maybe like it's super narrow and you can't fit, but maybe one house on it, but there's a lot of room in the back. What they're doing is they're doing a driveway that goes all the way straight through. They're putting unit one, a townhome in the front, and then a townhome in the back. Instead of the typical side by side, they're doing it one in front of the other.
It's like an
Yeah.
ADU?
No,
It's not an ADU?
it's separate townhomes, but shared driveway.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So
Hmm.
that's a way, if you were looking at a piece of land and maybe you have a builder friend or you're a builder or something like that, that kind of investor, consider those pieces of land as well, because you can always do it that way and just say unit number one, unit number two.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a way to get a 3 bedroom situation, almost like a multifamily duplex, but definitely one shared instead of, you know. So pretty much single family.
Mhm.
All right. You ready for the next?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so here is an example deal, and I did pull for these examples since we kind of gave a little bit of information on the duplexes. For the three examples that I'm going to show you guys, they are single family since we do single family most out here for investment properties. So this one in particular is in McDonough, Georgia. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. It's almost 1,900 square feet, built in 2010. The listing price on this one was 262.9. I always come with a suggested offer price This can be higher, lower, depending on the situation. If it's a super high cash flowing property, maybe we can stand to offer, $2,000 more than what my initial suggested price is. But in this instance, it's going to be lower. So my suggested price was 257 on this one. In Georgia, you can do 2% of the offer price as seller concessions if you are doing a specific loan. And that's just the loan that they look at rents only as a way to qualify you. Any other time, you can use it as a regular buyer. The make ready repair costs, that to me is what is it going to take to get it on the market to rent? I typically look at, are there ceiling fans in the whole house? Does it need to be repainted? Does it need new flooring? Things like that. This one, it was about 4,500, and I do have a little cheat sheet that I use. The annual property taxes on this is actually lower than typical areas, and that's at 3,947 a year. The rental amount, very conservative because I like to be conservative with my numbers, is about 1940 and a potential cash flow of $276. Now, keep in mind there are deals out there that are cash flowing over 400,000. It's just finding those. And obviously, if I have someone's criteria and things like that, I can find you the deals that will cash flow a decent amount. And then it also depends on how much you're putting down. This deal and the other three deals are based on 25% down payments.
And what is approximately the property taxes rate around Atlanta? Because I know there's McDonald, but I didn't know like for other areas if there's a range.
Yeah, so the better the school district, the higher the property taxes. So in like Gwinnett County, which is where those duplexes are in Lawrenceville, those are higher property taxes because they're really good school districts. And they're kind of in um, I would say, in a county that people have moved to specifically for the highest rating school districts. So typically, what I'm seeing now is that a lot more people are moving out of those areas because the rent is really high, because the school districts are good and they're settling for, like a B school district versus an A school district. And plus, the cost of living is lower in these areas.
Got it. And then so McDonald looks like it's based on this approximately is at 1.5% of the purchase price would be the annual taxes.
So there are taxes that are for county and sometimes for city,
Oh.
and those are taxed at different millage rates.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what does like insurance usually look like?
It's about like 2,100 a year. I mean, not
Not too bad.
too bad, but
Yeah.
I mean it's still, a decent price.
Right. I think we were paying around, I want to say about 17, 1800 for the duplexes through steadily. So that's still okay.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah,
it
that was
has gone
that's
up actually. But
oh, for sure.
yeah, I would say like in the last couple years that we've owned it, we've seen property taxes and the insurance have gone up pretty high.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people too. Like, if you're using this as an investment property, and I tell regular buyers this as well, if you have a specific place that you want to stay at price wise, don't hit the top, because the property taxes are always going to go up. The homeowner's insurance is always going to go up. So kind of be a little bit lower than what your complete top would be. That way you're safe on your investment and you're not going to, have to sell it in 2 years because it went up 50, $60.
Mhm. Got it.
And also a little bit information about McDonough. That is the home of Atlanta Speedway. And then also, it is a short drive to Atlanta and then also Hampton, which is another major city. It's also near Piedmont Henry Hospital, which is a major hospital in that area, and then other medical building and services, which is good because you have doctors and nurses and people like that and traveling nurses that will come to that area. So they tend to want to rent these houses if they're not, a regular permanent employee, if they're just travel nurses. Also, there's plenty of activities and shopping within that city as well. Any questions on that deal? No? Okay. Perfect. So the example number two deal is in Conyers, and Conyers is more of a small city feel. It is close to Covington, Georgia, as well, and I'll show you guys on a map as well, so you can get an idea of your bearings of where these are located. But it's about 10 minutes to shopping and restaurants and grocery stores. There's plenty of parks and things nearby as well, and it's affordable. So, like I was mentioning before, a lot of people are moving out of Atlanta city center and they're moving into the suburbs because it's just the cost of living is just too high, or they've been priced out of the market, things of that nature. So, this one's a 5 bedroom, 3 bath, and it's 3,100 square feet, almost 3,200, built in 2019. The listing price is 405. I suggested $10,000 lower, with 2% of the offer price being seller concessions. The make ready repair cost is about 6,000 because it does need new carpet throughout. The annual property taxes on this one is high at 7,387, which is why the monthly cash flow is a little lower. So, as you guys are looking at these, I think it's important for us to do a delicate balance of what you're looking for in a property. Some people just want a 5 bedroom. They have to have a 5 bedroom as a rental property. That's just it. And then I've worked with investors that didn't care. Their lowest was 3 bedrooms. So, I mean, taking this information, this is just an example. This is not for your personal, investment goals and things like that. We can tailor this down, but I wanted to give an example of a 5 bedroom as well in a place that has higher property taxes. And the next one is the one that excites me the most, because I have been trying to get a lot of my investor clients to come out this way to Warner Robins. So, Warner Robins is the home of Robins Air Force Base. It has plenty of shopping and malls nearby, and it is very affordable because it is a military town. This one in particular is 5 bedroom, 3 bath, 2,500 square feet, built in 2023. It has a decent list price of 314.9, and I would offer a little bit lower if I was you guys, and then 2%. Make ready repair cost is $2,000, very low. The annual property taxes are low at 3,203. Rental amount is about 2,200 conservatively, and monthly cash flow is about 374. So let me tell you why the military towns are great. And this can be used across the board wherever you are doing investments. I am also a military spouse. Let me preface that. So the reason is because military people tend to not ruin homes, because if they are active duty, you can go to their commander and say, hey, such and such ruined this home. And they will be reprimanded not only civilly, but also through the military. So they tend not to mess up homes. They're consistently moving in and out. They call it PCS, which is permanent change of station. They're typically moving in and out every 2 or 3 years. They typically don't buy. Most of them will try to rent because they have a house in the place that they actually want to end up either retiring in, or once they leave their current contract, that's where they're going to be. That's where they tend to keep their house, and they tend to rent it out. So these are really good areas. They tend to be more safe. They tend to have great school districts. So military towns, you definitely want to highly consider when you're looking for investments. That's what I would say about it. Any questions there?
And how far is this from Atlanta, like proper?
It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Ooh. That's
Yeah.
pretty far. Okay.
Yeah, it's far. Now I will say the people that are living there, they're not there for Atlanta nightlife for sure, but it's a quick drive to Atlanta should they want to get into the mix. But this is more for safe investment. And
Got it.
Warner Robins, I mean, you still can get, um, like a medium town feel, like a suburb kind of feel. And it does have, shopping malls and things like that.
I mean, you said it was with the military. Is do they have some like what's actually in that city with for the military?
It's an Air Force base.
Ah, okay. So that'll be
Robins Air
more
Force
boring.
Base.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
And I actually relocated someone from Japan to there. I've relocated people from Europe. I recently relocated somebody from Florida there. So I mean, it's an active base. And then I also service the base in Savannah and service the base in Augusta, Georgia. And I'll show you that on the map.
Mhm.
So right here in Savannah, also Augusta, Georgia. And the Conyers home is, you could see Atlanta right here. The Conyers home is right here. McDonough is a little bit further. Warner Robins is middle Georgia, like, or more like central Georgia. And then McDonough is about middle Georgia.
Mhm.
And why you should invest in Georgia. So we have a diverse and growing economy. We have strong sectors in technology, logistics, finance, media, and it's economic stability. And that's a good thing for investors, especially because they can have various opportunities in all different price points that still cash flow. Real estate is a big thing here. It's attractive due to the affordability of some of the property prices, especially when you get further out. Looking at California prices, because I used to live in California, looking at California prices versus Georgia prices, two different things. So it is more attractive in that sense compared to other major cities and populations. We also are a major tech hub. We have entrepreneurs, we have a growing number of startups, established tech companies, and that could be very good for your investments. And then also, larger companies have introduced some remote work for people, which makes the quality of rental homes in high demand if you have one that's of quality. Also, transportation and logistics. It's a major transportation hub with Hartsfield Jackson International Airport. It is Delta's hub. And then also, we have extensive railway networks and then also buses and things of that nature. And it allows them to be able to grow headcount as more people are moving here and everything is kind of like growing from a logistics and transportation standpoint. Also, we have some great educational institutions. We have some prominent universities and research places like Georgia Tech, and they definitely provide some education related fields and innovate a lot of innovation. And then cultural and entertainment industry, there's many film productions companies here. Tyler Perry Studios is here. And it's kind of like the new Hollywood, I would say, where, it's not frowned upon that people are out here acting and filming and things like that. This is kind of like the next LA. Also, infrastructure development. There's consistent, ongoing infrastructure projects. Yes, it sucks for some people with driving and traffic, but that's why a lot of these companies are allowing remote work. And again, that translates to quality investment properties. So, in other words, you should definitely look at investing in Atlanta or Georgia in general. And I would love to help you. Thank you.
So I liked how Ray had talked about the diversity in the economy because as we're looking for people who are brand new as investors and they don't know where to look at, one of the major things we do look at are where are people moving to? Especially there are some certain cities that are maybe just have like for example, we've gone to Las Vegas, but I've always seen that, it's really focused on like say entertainment. And when the economy goes down, when there was the pandemic, they were hit the hardest. Whereas when we saw Atlanta, there was such that diversity of different industries around that even if one item or one industry collapsed, not the whole industry is collapsing. So
Mhm.
that's really going to be important for kind of long-term growth. Also, like Emory and several other top universities are right there over there in liberal arts schools, and Georgia Tech for technology. It's known as like one of the top computer science schools. That's like for a lot more affordable too. And
Mhm.
so there are opportunities for growth in those areas. But one thing I do notice as I'm looking through the prices, or I mean, sorry, the properties that you were kind of showing,
Mhm.
I noticed you didn't actually pick Atlanta proper. And I was
Correct.
curious on that. Can you kind of elaborate more on that and why you didn't choose to go that route?
Yes. So that is for, I would say, investors that don't really care about school districts.
Hmm.
Most of my investors do care about school districts. If they don't care about school districts, because I mean, some people don't have a family and they don't care about, school districts, then there are some really good investment opportunities there. And I have a lot of investment opportunities in Atlanta. However, again, it's not the best school districts, but they do cash flow. And their cash flow is about, between $100 a month, and it could go up to $400 a month. So we can definitely show those, but they are not in like the best of the best areas. So I'll say that.
Cool. So I'm going to take over the map just for a second, and I'm going to have some questions kind of going over through some of the areas that I have been in the past and to kind of like get like people's ideas on those. So I remember what the airport was kind of in the north, right? Or no,
Mm-hmm.
actually in the south, sorry. And then so uh for people who are in one that who do want to invest closer because it was kind of, Kanye and Manalo, those are a little on the further side. If they were looking to get something that's more stable with good with solid school districts because we're Asians. We like good schools. These are long-term holds. Then
Absolutely.
that way they can actually be able to like it's kind of steadier tenants for a class. Where are those areas that you would recommend?
So I would say Gwinnett County, which is about Norcross
Mm.
to the right. Um,
Oh, right here.
yeah, and further to the right. So that's where
Further
you're
to
going
the
to get into
right.
lower or Logan. I'm sorry, not Loganville, Lawrenceville area. Yeah,
Oh shit, we're
like
hella
you're
far.
almost in. Yeah, so
Look, our title company's right
Norcross,
there.
Wilburn, Lawrenceville,
Fine.
Snellville, Grayson, those are really good school districts. I personally went to Grayson High School.
Hmm.
They're really good school districts. They do have tech programs in them as well. I went to engineering school and everything like that in my high school.
Hmm.
So I would say that, but it really depends on price point
Right.
because when you get into Johns Creek area, Peachtree Corners, places like that, the price points
Oh, right
tend to
here.
be about 500,000 up,
Got it.
and the property taxes are crazy because those are the best school districts.
So for
Same
about
thing with Buford,
500,000, would you say like maybe the taxes around like 8,000 or so or higher?
probably at about
Yeah.
7, 8, thousand plus or minus. Same
Mm,
thing with like Dunwoody area, Brookhaven, Roswell. Um, One of the most desirable areas that people tend to go to is Sandy Springs and then also
right here.
Alpharetta,
Oh,
which
I
is
love that
actually
area.
north.
Yeah.
It's great. It's
So
just
beautiful.
expensive.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that, I try to shy away depending on how much money someone's putting down, depending on what their goals are. I try to shy away from those areas only because the property taxes are going to kill um, your cash flow numbers
Mhm. Unless they're able to
unless
get
you're
the
putting
whole
all
ball.
cash or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And then if we're going talking about the city itself, one thing I remembered was like every single street was so different.
Yeah. You can literally make a right and you're in not a great place, and make a left and you're in $1 million homes.
Uh-huh. I felt that. I was like, wow, this home is so beautiful. And we started walking, driving down there, and I'm like, wait, why is it next to boarded up houses? And then like, oh, next to it, look, it's a brand new house. Oh, look, there's a 10 unit. It's like, whoa.
Right.
I think we were around kind of the zoo-ish area.
Oh
That
yeah.
was somewhere around there. And I was like, okay, this is surprising to me.
Yeah. So
Oh, there's the
gentrification's
airport.
going on around there.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so I saw, so you said the north were kind of like the burbs, the nice single family homes that are very more on the expensive side. And then what are there pockets or actually I heard about there's was it the belt line?
Yep.
Where is that? And what is this belt line?
So there's Beltline entrances in different places.
Hmm.
So you'll have mainly like Decatur area.
Right here.
They
Hmm.
have like a Beltline entrance. There's multiple places. Let me see if I can pull up that map.
Yeah, and feel free to take over that screen share too. Because I remember Beltline, a couple of years back was everyone was just pushing and recommending the Beltline to yes, Ponce City's market.
Aunt City is great.
Yeah. I don't remember what was the district or that area was called, but pe people kept recommending it just because it's like it's within walking distance and exercise, and that it's good for shopping. And that was the area that grew a lot. And I don't know if that was still the case as now.
Yeah, and I have it up. Let me share really
Yep.
quickly.
Yep. Go for it. Okay.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Okay. So the Beltline is, oops, excuse me. So kind of all around Atlanta. So this is an interactive map. There are trails, connecting trails, trail access here. And of course, it's around parks and things like that. But it's around Lindbergh, goes all the way down under Atlanta and around through. Now, some of these places are, again, being gentrified. Um, there may be boarded up houses. Like the entrance that I go to, there's a couple of boarded up houses, but it's beautiful. It's just those people don't want to sell yet.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they're holding out to be kind of the last ones, and then they'll sell for a super high amount. So, but it, it's it's a pretty good area, and I mean, people love the Beltline. I was just on the Beltline maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when it was still warm here. And I
Mhm.
mean, it's just beautiful. A lot of restaurants, things like that. So if you can buy on the Beltline, it's great. But again, property taxes, how much people are going to pay versus what you're having to pay, that's the difference.
Mhm. Cool. And what are like some of the like what's the weather like or natural disasters or things that can affect your insurance?
So mainly there's like areas that flood. Of course, I would know that before we go under due diligence or within due diligence. If it's a flood area, most of the places that I look are not in flood areas. But the most would be like storms. I mean, we're not like a hurricane or you have to worry about a lot of water or things like that. We're not really like a natural disaster. Definitely no earthquakes. So,
It's not bad. We only get one every 100 years where they kill a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember I used to live there too.
It was 1980
I was
something. We
on
still
San
got plenty
Andreas
of
Fault.
time.
Right.
Run. The other things I remember specifically is that there's a ton of trees,
Yes.
giant trees. So I
Yes.
think for people who are not like, if you're really, I really do not recommend our friends just buying sight unseen like we did.
Right.
Do not do what I did. That is the
Hmm.
dumbest shit ever. I'm just YOLOing on buying. That's one of my mistakes because every single street is very, very significantly different. And then also like when we're looking around the trees were so big. It cost us about $8,000 or something to cut down those giant trees. So that's an
Yeah.
extreme added costs that you probably weren't expecting, plus like the roots and everything, or the branches falling off. And the other thing is there is weather, there is snow. So we had a lot of cold. So that means pipes exploding,
Freezing. Yeah.
or our was it the not the heaters or the boilers, and we ran into a lot of those issues. And then a lot of the rain did affect also the roofs as well. So those are some of
Yeah.
the common things I do see is that because there is weather, you do want to factor in a higher reserve for your repairs. But then now that I'm running through the numbers, because it is tough, because I'm looking at this, I am an investor. The only way I would be buying any of these properties if it's a single family home in nice area is if I can find a significant discount where I'm going to be flipping it, selling it, and then LTRing. But I won't, I have to see like where, because only $100 cash flow does not work out. So I'm
No.
actually glad I see Quentin in here because he's our buddy over in Pad Split. And a lot of our investors that I've seen is that they are hacking their house or buying houses where it can be either rented by the room or like either to students or to workers. And since I have Quentin out here, you want to kind of give us some ideas on how that part works?
What's up, Andy? Good to see you.
Haven't seen you for over a
I
year in
know, I
SoCal.
know. You guys stay out west, you know. I got so excited when I saw you guys are doing it in Atlanta. I was like, yo, I'm gonna jump in and see my girl. Um, yeah, I love it. I love that you guys are talking about it. For what you're talking about, like $100, $200, if that's kind of where people are stuck at right now, right? Sellers don't want to come down and interest rates are stuck. So you're kind of stuck on the cash flow side. Our model is pretty popular. You know, it's we're turning single family rentals and then converting them over into multifamilies essentially. You know, so we are doing rent by the room. There's a platform called PadSplit that does that. I'm a real estate investor. I do shared or single room occupancy. That's kind of the other way that people talk about it. It's essentially solving the same thing that you're talking about. The biggest differential is that because I'm an investor, I look at capital preservation more than anything else, right? It's one pool of money and I'm trying to recycle it as much as possible. So I go into areas that work, buy it distressed with the assumption that I have a large delta between my acquisition price and the ARV. So if I just, I'm about to put a 5.2 that converted over to a 9.6. So I bought it for 215. We put 85 into it, and the ARV is 425. So I'm getting all my money back out, right? And then I'm still going to cash flow like $7,800 gross. So that's kind of how the numbers could work. Right. I know. And like but I just want to caveat this because it is an operator's game. If you're in California and you're like, hey, I got this dope ass deal, and then your operator locally sucks, you're not making the money that you expected, right? Because it's essentially you have 6, 7, 8, 9 people that are living in a house and you have to run it in a certain way or have a partner locally that's going to help you run it a certain way. I am curious about your duplexes, because that's my favorite model is if I can get 3.2 duplexes, I take the living room and the dining room and I'm converting those to 5.2, then I have a 10.4, under one roof, so like when I look at markets that I look at for purchasing for co-living, that's one of my favorite models because I get 10 bodies split across 2 separate living areas. But it's not so crazy to have 10 under one roof. I have a 5 and a 5 separated by walls. Um, Before you get into it, like Annie, like just have them call me because I keep watching so many new investors get in and they get roped into this like Excel porn. So like, oh, 6 is good. Look at 7, look at 8, look at 9. Then they get into it and they're just like, yo, nobody's renting this thing. I'm overpriced. I paid too much. I'm not making the cash flow that I wanted to. The one thing I will say in this is if you're a co-living investor, you get paid last. So I mean this by saying like the first I buy houses and my cardinal rule is 50% of the doors or the rooms have to pay the PITI, right? So that means that in this 9 bedroom, four bedrooms cover my PITI. So I have 5 bedrooms of revenue. One covers utilities and I have 4 that are profit, right? So it's like in normal cases, I buy so deep, most people have like 3 rooms if possible. So the PM your utilities and your PITI get covered by the first couple rooms, you have to fill the very last rooms, which are the hardest to fill for you to make money. So people don't look at it like that, right? They look at it like, hey, look at the gross number. Well, you have to get to that gross number by having bodies in the room who pay, right? And that's the gap between Hopium and an operator's perspective, is that if you approach it like, I have to run a hospitality business where people want to stay, it can be done. I have multiple properties where I have 100% occupancy, but I like cultivate communities. It's not just a rent a room, right? So there's so many different ways to approach how you do shared living. Um, you just have to have some intention. You can't just be tossing money around and hoping to God that bedrooms fill. Because what you'll get is like, you'll get ridiculousness coming back because you're not curating a certain experience. Like, I think about it more like, are you a Vacasa on Airbnb? Is it branded? Do you have a certain, standard, are you consistent in the member experience? And that'll, promote a lot more consistency in revenue side. It's like if you have, single family rentals, you want to get a referral from the next person coming inbound. Hey, I'm moving. This house is great. And it just keeps your constant, revenue stream going. Um, yeah, I could talk about this all day, Annie. So it's like,
Just
and
kind of curious on why you pick on that model versus like, because I remember seeing like there were 10-unit multifamilies for around the 2.5 mil before. I've seen that. How come? And there were like maybe two ones or even bigger, but like I was curious, why would you rather hack up that house into that rather than like get a multi and then do better?
so because multifamilies, I have to run off of commercial debt, right? So it's a 5-year balloon. Whereas in single family, I get to run DSCR, right? So I get to have 30-year fixed. So my debt coming out of this house and all my properties is a 30-year fixed. And, I know what that is, right? I don't have a 5-year, holy crap, this thing's going to, you know, it's going to balloon. So I have to renegotiate my loan on a commercial. I just eliminate that altogether. So for me to chase down, I have a 9-bedroom, a 7, a 6, and a 7. So it's like I'm essentially 30 doors into it.
Mhm.
Net, all in, I average about $20,000 left in the deal after I refinance back out. So I've got less than $100,000 spread out of my own capital. I'm leveraged, right? But the properties cash flow themselves. So for me, it's a financing question more than anything else, because I'm not afraid of the operator, because I'm the operator, right? So it's like I save on the PM, I save on all these other things. But it's the debt more than anything else. And it's the financing vehicles that I can get into the property. So I can go hard money and then go right into DSCR. So I get 10% hard money with 100% refinancing on the construction side. And then I go right into a DSCR loan. So it's like, for me, it's primarily around the financing component of it.
And then you're actually getting financing to like you're turning into a giant place, like 6 or 7 rooms now with like a three. How are you creating this many rooms? And like, is it even legal or like, there must be some kind of max occupancy or like some permitting thing, right?
No, so like yeah, yeah. Let's just be legally, Pad Split has this lease with the company, their members. Like, you can sing and dance all you want, but if you are a jackass of an operator and your members are jackasses, your neighbors are going to complain. A Karen's going to go to code enforcement, and you're going to have some issues, right? Like, I choose properties, and I'm a little bit on the outside of what normal people do, in the sense like they view our members, a lot of them, as like just poor broke folk. So they're like, I don't want to have any cars or parking. I want to be close to public transportation. I kind of go the other way. If you think about it the way I do, socioeconomic ladder, one being government supported, 2, 3, and 4, kind of where affordable housing comes in, 50 to 60, $70,000 a pop. I want to go the other way. So I want 7, 8, and 9 to make smarter decisions and go down to a 7 or a 6. Right. So it's like you pay $2,000 for an apartment, paying 65% of your take home pay. I'd rather you pay $1,000, all utilities included, and save $800. So it's a double compression to meet in the middle. So I choose properties that have a lot of seclusion, a lot of parking, not a lot of neighbors. And in Gwinnett, like I personally love Stone Mountain. So right now I'm in
It's a
30083, primarily because I chase a certain footprint, right? So my 5.2 was a 3,200 square foot house, right? So then I converted the garage, but I back up into the a nature preserve, so I have no neighbors to bitch and moan. I'm at the end of a cul-de-sac, and I pushed out dirt to make more parking. Theoretically, in my mind, it's if my tenants have cars, their employment radius increases. So they have, instead of being public transportation reliant, they can drive to jobs. If they lose a job, they can drive to another job. So it's like I kind of view it from the member side to secure my de-risk my revenue piece. I charge a little bit more. I want people to be, you know, I want them to be making an active choice as to I choose to live here because I'm smarter than the other person. Like I hashtag everything rent smarter because I want people to make conscious decisions. Um, because I think for the most part, that 70, 60 to $80,000 range is not going anywhere. They're not going up. They're kind of maxed out in what they're making. Um, and it's that bucket. You can't qualify for, it's hard to qualify for to buy a home, right?
Mm,
So I don't know. It's you just have to kind of approach it really analytically, if you want to. But
mm,
in terms of like real estate investment, for me, I love buying distressed properties, doing value add, and then refinancing back out on the DSCR. So I leave very little money in the deal, but because of the way it's set up, I can cash flow to cover, right? So it's you have to kind of know how to buy. I keep running into investors that keep buying at retail. Rae, I hope if you meet
right.
anybody doing co-living, you tell them like, no, we don't buy retail
Oh,
because
yeah.
for us, it's like we have to buy. I have investors buying retail at 300, putting a $40,000 renovation in, and then buying furniture on top. So that
They're
a
upside
thousand,
down.
they just
Well, I
can't
mean, even if
refinance.
it's not co-living, I think in general, people should be going after those that have some area of room for negotiation, especially this time. This is
Yeah,
completely a buyer's market. Like, don't be scared.
right,
Right.
right.
Yeah, I literally went to like I was at Dallas to buy like really nice home. There's literally nothing wrong with it. The inspection turned out nice, and I'm like, well, I'm still gonna ask for a low ball price. It's still gonna do that for no
What are
reason.
they going to say? No.
Yeah.
Right.
The house I had was listed at 280 6 months before I put in an offer at 250. 6 months go by. The realtor calls me back and says, hey, the family has to move to Denver because they took a job there. She's
Mm.
like, we'll take your 250. I was like, 217. I
At
Wow.
was
this
like,
point.
I,
Hmm.
I didn't need to buy the house. Right. I was like,
217 though. That's a
yeah,
pretty thick skin, bro.
right. So
I'm
mine's
scared.
217 with an 85 reno and a 425 ARV. Right. So it's like, it's a $0 house for me.
Hmm.
Plus I get the tax deduction because I did the renovation, and then I get the bonus depreciation because I cost seg it. So it's like I'm not playing this for necessarily cash flow in year one. I'm playing it for the tax write-off in year one, but then I know that I'm generating way more revenue year over year. So it's like I make I think 78 is the projected at 22% vacancy. So like
And that's what's called maximizing your investment.
yeah, it's like you
Right.
just know the math. Like if there's
Mhm.
anything that people are struggling with is they don't understand the financing,
The
you know?
finance and plus all the tax strategies that you had just talked about. It's not just about the number of the income that they're getting in, but they have to factor in like the toss eggs and then how like there is appreciation. There's other things that they have to consider to really maximize what you actually have in the end in your pocket.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
think that's for new people coming inbound, they look at it like a W-2. Like, oh, I need 2000 in cash flow or 500 in cash flow. I'm like, bro, you're not replacing your take home pay at 200, $300 a pop. Like figure out, how to buy something that your kids are going to enjoy. Like it's just a long game. Like too many people are day trading real estate and they're getting screwed, you know?
Or buying just on like vibes or something, just because it's
Yeah.
on social media. See, that's why you guys don't listen just to social media. Like, just go there and take a look.
Yeah.
But speaking of financing, I guess if Simi is here, is that if you were trying to buy something like that or like the renovations, like your traditional loan actually be able to qualify you to fix it up like that?
You're asking me or Simi?
Well, I guess both of you. Like, how is it financing to get all these like weirdo houses? Or like even when if I say I'm trying to buy a house that was a pad split, like how am I supposed to like you're saying it's a business or a property? Like how would we finance it? Because it's kind of a weird house now.
Well, like, Quentin, you can answer that first on your own because you're doing that.
Yeah. I buy it. So, okay, two ways. Typically I buy cash because I just have the ability to negotiate harder, right? I typically don't use a realtor because I try to save my 3%. Um,
Are
so I'll
you
go,
licensed to there or are you local? Just to
yeah,
clarify.
I live in Atlanta. Yeah.
Ah, that's why you're doing all the operating things in person. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I build but I'm doing it now. I'm looking at Kansas City, I'm looking at Richmond, I'm looking at markets where I know the math works really well. And I'm really driven by what the actual housing stock looks like because my model, I can go to Richmond and get a 3,600 square foot house for 300. That turns into an 8.4, 8.5 really quickly. And the ARVs are big enough that I'm going to recoup my money. So like once I know blueprints for certain markets, like Kansas City's notoriously a burr market, right? If you're in Jackson County, middle of Kansas City, you're buying big ass houses that convert to sevens and eights at 100. Like it's stupid. But to answer your question about the financing, I will do two things. I have a company that is a hard money lender, so I get a hard money loan. It's my company, but like I use my own cash, so I get a hard money loan to buy the property, and then I use DSCR to refinance. Right. So essentially, because I'm my own LLC, um, I get it's easier for my DSCR loan, so I can do a rate and term
Mhm.
instead of having seasoning and all these other issues that come into it if I were just to buy cash. Right. So, but I've had other properties where I buy using Vizio or Kiavi or just a traditional hard money lender. But you got to be smart with those. Don't buy a 9 month renovation on a hard money loan at pissing away 12 and 2. Like, don't do it. Right. Like, choose your projects correctly. So my lipstick flips or renovations tend to be hard money. So I'll go in 90 days and I'll buy it hard money, 10% down. I get 100% of my reno. And then I DSCR and refinance back out. So two things there. Make sure your ARV is tight because I cannot tell you how many people I hear sob stories where they got to come to 50 to close because their assumption for their appraisal came in low,
That's what I
right?
would be worried about. Yeah, especially now with the fluctuations in the market and calculating the ARV.
Yeah. And to your point, people are bailing. So your comps are getting stuck,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like I use a ton of AI tools for that part, but make sure your ARV and your comp is tight because it's bad. The thing that's tricky for us, you can use somebody that knows what co-living is. They use lenders that know what our model is. So like you could do the renovation to 7 bedrooms and then they'll send an appraiser who doesn't freak out. He's
Mm-hmm.
just going to look for a regular 4.3 and then the other rooms are dens, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
the simple way to do it if you're going to use a regular loan is you do your renovation to an SFR. You work with a GC that knows what they're doing. You get your refi at the SFR and then you come back in with your last walls.
Yeah,
Because
Ah.
that's what I was about to say, Quentin.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
very strategic when you're working with pad splits. And I'll give you an example because I've had some similar pad split investors do what similar to what Quentin did is go in and buy with cash, like a 3.2, and they convert it to whatever, a 6.4, 7.4, and they come back to me to try to get it refinanced, and we send an appraiser out and they say, wait, you've got multiple tenants in here.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to the regular DSCR lender and say, look, this is it's not zoned for multifamily. They don't have a special use permit, and they've got multiple tenants in a single family dwelling, so they couldn't get the refinance done.
So
But
you
Quentin's right. You have to be strategic. You have to work with the right lenders that understand the pad split model.
or just know I say it this way because I teach a bunch of people and I'm like, you just got to know who your next master is,
Yeah.
right? Like if you know the lenders, the next one you got to appease, like stop it when they when enough is enough. like, hey, we did all the reno, kitchen's done, floors are done, walls are done, paint's done, everything's done.
Yeah.
You kind of know what the framing's going to look like. You have your GC stop, and then get your refi. And then once you have your 30-year debt and your insurance, they're not coming back out to ask, hey, how's
Yeah.
Tuesday looking? It's not happening. I'll
Yeah.
see you in 30 years. Just pay your damn mortgage.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's what's really fun about Atlanta is that it's not just the traditional, I'm going to buy this place and just hold it for LTR for like a single family. There's just so many different types of properties, like the duplexes and triplexes and the quads and all these multifamilies, and they're relatively inexpensive. Like you can get pretty good bang for the buck for under a mil compared to what we have. But like you have to play your games right to understand what's your risk tolerance because pad split, I would not recommend that for brand new newbie who's never bought a single family home before. Like,
no.
nah, heck no.
If you're going to
No.
do it, partner with somebody who
Yeah.
does and ride shotgun for the first deal.
Hmm.
And like trust that person has a portfolio. Like I'll tell you who the worst case is for this year.
Yeah.
PMLs are getting hammered. Like I keep coming across multiple groups where private money lenders are going in for flips and for like even pad splits where the operator is terrible, but they're the one fronting all the cash. So they're in that second lien position, but like they have no idea who the operator is, and they're the ones that are running into problems on default, right? Because like the cash flow is not there, their terms are coming up on their loan, they're trying to refine it. It's a mess. So like the first one, don't go into a market unless you know somebody locally who has a team, general contractor who has a property manager, especially if you're out of market. But it's super doable. Like it's just rinse and repeat. You just have to partner. It's like anything. If you do it out of market, you just have to find the right team to do it. Once you get into here and you have a realtor who knows what you're looking for and how you underwrite, she'll spend all day long finding addresses. And then you flip it over to your GC. He knows kind of what you want to do, and then he'll convert it to it. Like my first GC, that was my tuition. That bastard, like every first renovation is always like that, right? It's like he wanted to made it a 11 bedroom. I was like, dude, I don't want to run a trap house. Like I want to run it. It ended up being a 7-3. It was a 3-3 coming in, but I had a huge basement downstairs, right? So it's like there's 3 bedrooms that just came out of it. But he was like, oh, I could do this and I could cram 2 more in here. And I was like, oh, dude, no. So it's like you're going to get taken for a ride if you just come in and be like, I have a checkbook. Go get me a pad split. And they'll gladly, because for them, every other room is another $4 or $5 grand, right? So it's like they want to spend your money. A lot of realtors who are like uneducated, they're like, this is great. This is in a neighborhood and it's like the top end of the market in that area. I'm like, wait a minute. I need to refinance this thing. Right. So it's like, you need to go get me the ugliest house in this neighborhood.
In the nicest neighborhood. Yep.
No, in our world, no.
No,
right?
not for pad split.
No, man. Rock me out solid B. Give me a solid B class neighborhood. I don't need no E-class Mercedes. Find me like an A. Find me the guy who's rocking a 300 and that's his nice car. Like the neighbors matter most. In our world, neighbors matter, neighborhoods matter, HOAs, we don't do septic tanks, we don't do galvanized plumbing. Like there's certain mechanical things we have to say no to. Your pipes are going to blow up. There's 9 people.
Similar. That's similar for like regular houses too. You don't want those older properties with the piping issue. There's a lot of things to replace in general.
Yeah. And most of most of Atlanta's infrastructure is galvanized and polybutyl. So it's like if you don't have somebody that's going to go in there and actually look under the hood, because in our world for cash flowing, it takes so many bodies. So it's like it's just wear and tear on your house. So it's like big thing that people are finding year one, what they thought they could skimp out on as part of the renovation, it bites you in the ass. So there's your cash flow. I'd rather you change out the HVAC and amortize it over 30.
Yeah.
Right. Like don't put rolled out linoleum floors, like put LVP, you know what I mean? Like
last longer.
Right.
Yeah.
And just amortize it. Like, and that's the part where people don't understand long money versus short money. And it's like, I'm going to save 2,000. all right, you're going to pay, right? Like you're expecting 20,000 in cash flow and you're going to make 8 and you're going to be pissed,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, get it over with. Like can I just give you one more super tip?
Yeah.
If you're renting and buying rentals in Atlanta, because the normal rental market, the renter pays for utilities. What I
Mhm.
have found over the last 5 projects, nobody puts insulation in rentals. Okay. So stick your ass, put your head up in the attic and go put your R48 in there, right? Like go drop 36 inches of insulation because nobody puts insulation in, right? So it's like because utilities are normally, on the renter, it's awful. That's awful. So it's like go put utility because we pay for utilities on our model. And I was like, why is my electric bill so damn high? Stuck my head in there. I'm like looking at the rafters. I'm like, I am going to kill this guy. So it's like every job, the GC now is like, I know I got to go look at the insulation. You got it, baby. It's like $2,000. It saves you so much money. It's
Mhm.
so crazy. It's
Worse
crazy.
off than us because, like, oh my God, we have one room in all those stupid duplexes that are not insulated and our freaking water heater is there. So it explodes every year.
Oh
We've had,
God.
yeah, and it would leak and we had to replace like 5 over the last 2 years.
Oh
But like in that
God.
area, it was just like a added on room. So it's like they
Yeah.
can't really add the insulation on. So we're like, this piece of shit, I want to get this out.
Yeah.
And they can't move it anywhere too.
And And to your point too, having a good GC that you really, really
Yeah.
trust, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of companies that will take a picture and like enhance it to make it seem like the work was done for an out of
Oh.
state investor. And when you have an agent like me that actually goes there and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is not done.
Yeah.
Like where in here was this done? And they'll
Best
take your money and run.
best
And that's
money ever on the
so true.
reno. Get your Wi-Fi and start posting cameras
Hmm.
and literally just tell them, bro, Big Brother's watching. Like, I don't
Mhm.
care what you do. Like from the renovation beginning all the way to the end, Wi-Fi is up. So I get to see when you're there, and I get to see what you're doing. Like, I don't care if it's dusty. I just need somebody to have some accountability. And if it
Love it.
costs me $100 of Wi-Fi for during the renovation, it's worth its weight in gold because they're so used to working on their own. So that's the kind of stupid stuff you learn when you get burned. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Trust but verify.
right?
For
And
sure.
Especially
so
the set that we bought. It's like we bought it on YOLO. There's like 40 of us who were like, oh, you just put $5,000 in. Okay. And then we
oh
realized like,
my
oh, they bought a
God.
piece of shit that was like full of issues.
Oh my God.
So that's why I've been embarrassed to go back and see you guys for a while.
You know what's an interesting one? Ray, do you have any properties in Hapeville?
No.
Okay, so that's what I've been looking at right now is like I'm doing a couple more flips, but I'm
Mhm.
popping tops. So it's like most of this area right north of the airport, this little city called Hapeville. And
Yeah.
Hapeville typically runs a 21900, 21880. And then all of a sudden, like people are buying it, popping the top and going up. So they're turning
Mhm.
them into like 5.3s or 5.2s. And now they're going at like 800, 900,000, 1.2, and
Oh,
it's
I'm
like
sure.
about 300, it's roughly about $350,000 worth of renovation to pop it and build up.
What?
It's not much. The
Yeah.
the biggest pain is your carry because the permitting for the city just sucks monkey gas. Like it
Oh,
just takes
yeah.
forever. So you have to take into account the carry number. Um, the hold sucks, but like on the flip side, like I can't flip lipstick flips anymore. They just don't exist.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
everything is buy and hold. But when I need, if I have a problem with taxes, then I go try to find a flip. And that's an area where the numbers are consistently delivering is buying at 4 to 5, popping it off at 8 and selling it for like 1 million. Like that math is doable in
Right.
that area of town. And you're like, nobody's really looking for a 2-1 because you can't put a family in a 2-1,
Yeah.
right? So it's like limited people that they're selling to. But
Hmm.
if they don't have the money to pop it, that's where investors can actually take it. And then it becomes really attractive to the person with the jumbo loan. So it's like you're switching buyers in terms of doing the value add there. So that's a fun one if anybody's interested in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a viable model, I guess, to repeat, you know.
Mhm. So playing a more of a game because I like how we're actually more thinking creatively now. So imagine that you are first time from out of state, you're Californian, you want something just super stable. It's okay to just like kind of break even or small cash flow. Let's break down like cost of like say for them for eyeballing. How much is the property management that you guys have seen? Like kind of for different for like an LTR.
Oh, for
I,
Quentin
I
or
don't
me?
Just kind
go
of
ahead,
running through
Ray.
the numbers,
Yeah.
going through different examples. Like for inexperienced folks, recommend this. For someone who knows a little bit more, X, this thing, and then for the next one, then for pad split. Because that one, I would say pad split, I would not really recommend it for newbies at all. At all.
Yeah, and typically we're seeing about 10%, 10 to 13% for on the monthly rental amount for property management. It just really depends on how many houses you have. Obviously, the more houses you have, the better price you can get, things like that. But typically, it's a little bit more expensive for that. And a lot of my investors have decided that they wanted to self manage,
Oh,
which to
okay.
me isn't
Mhm.
isn't as great unless you have that blinder on where you can say, if you hit me with a sob story, I'm thinking about this logically. I'm not thinking about it as if you were my kid or my family member or something like that. If you can put those blinders on, then that's great. And I've also had some investors that do self manage, but they house hack. So they live in one side of the duplex
Mm.
and then they rent out the other side. And I tell
Mhm.
them automatically, never ever tell them that you are the owner of this property. Put
Oh.
it in an LLC that cannot link back to you and, run it that way because you will have people banging on your door at 11:30 at night or whatever the case is, trying to get something fixed and all the sob stories and pretty much making your life hell if they don't like what decision you've made, etc. So I just say, act like you're a regular renter, just like them, and then be on your computer
Mhm.
writing them back.
Right. So to recap is that if you are local, if you're actually living there and you want something to live, then you can probably do something like the duplex thing, pretend to be a tenant or a master tenant or
Right.
just, on-site manager, whatever. You take one room and then you rent out the others. So that is one
Mhm.
strategy and then they can self-manage. For out-of-state folks, I think for someone who's brand new, that's my opinion. I would pick something that's around like a minimum of a 3.2,
Mhm.
maybe at like 22,000 square foot, not too large because that's kind of the entry level home.
Yeah.
I think that and property management, I've seen them kind of go, they're kind of a little all over a little bit when
Yeah.
thinking in Atlanta. It's not really like a solid number, but some of the ones I've seen are like 8% that are like, but it's with 1 month placing fees, and then there's a lot of like little add-ons and stuff, or there's the 10% with like maybe 50% on their leasing fee. So, but you're right. I think on average, factoring their fees about 10 to 12. So
Mhm.
if they are factoring in that and they're putting a 25% down payment on a house that looks like they're supposed to cash flow, I personally don't think cash is cash flowable. Do you think so?
Well,
A
I
little
mean,
higher down payment.
like it's been mentioned before, you either have to have a really high down payment
Yep.
or, at some point, we're kind of stuck right now.
Yep.
You can only do so much. And with property taxes going up and investments, I mean, not really doing as great.
Mhm.
I mean, we're kind of at where we're at.
Yep.
I typically tell people to try to look at a 10-year
Hmm.
plan,
I love
like
it.
slow and steady wins the race, but also don't buy something where, you're going to be collecting $300 in cash flow every month. And you already know that you're going to have to replace the water heater, replace the HVAC or
Mhm.
something like that. And then all your cash flow just goes down the drain with that one, major thing.
Correct. And I think that's a really important lesson that works not just in Atlanta, but in every single market is that I feel that a lot of the investors, especially out of state folks, they're too focused on looking at their Excel sheets. but
Mhm.
they don't understand enough about like what are the actual numbers looking like in real life because they're always changing. The rent does not stay the same. It's
Mhm.
seasonal. Plus, they don't understand how to read the inspection reports carefully
Right.
enough or getting the additional reports for like, hey, something's wrong with the roof or like the water tank is kind of time to replace. And they're also not spending enough time going in person, taking kind of a drive around the area, looking at the outside things. Hey, is there a giant tree there? Are there things or like that's underneath that you cannot see very well? Did you do the sewer lateral? And all of those things will just end up adding, cutting into your profits, which in the end, ultimately, you're probably better off not buying those.
Yeah. And I mean, and a lot of it too is having if you do have a real estate agent,
Mhm.
somebody who's focused on money instead of focused on your best, what's best for you as a client. I have walked into places and I've told clients, absolutely not. I
Mhm.
won't let you buy this because it's going to fall apart as soon as you buy it. So I think having somebody that you can really, really, really trust is paramount in any different type of market. That somebody that's going to be boots on the ground to tell you one way or another. And then obviously, if you can go and see it, even better. A lot of my investors, they're all over the place and they will never step foot in that house. They'll never step foot in the state. But they rely on their real estate agent. So I think that's important to vet real estate agents in any market.
Right. And Ray, based on I don't know if you've been doing any of the listings lately or asking the listing agents, how like are people still getting like multiple offers? Because I did see that the numbers are going higher, but are they getting multiple offers? And then what actually is closing? Are they hitting list value or under?
A lot of them are hitting under. I haven't had anybody who actually hit list price without some kind of a concession. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people are getting higher concessions. They may have at list price, but they're still coming in at 10,000 plus in seller concessions, or they're lowering the price. I mean, I have a listing right now that's in beautiful condition. It's
Mm-hmm.
priced way below market value and it's just sitting because there's just so much inventory on the market right now that people have options and they're not looking for stuff that needs work necessarily. They're looking for what can I get in and immediately start renting, or what can I get into and immediately hit the ground running.
And how many months of inventory do you guys see right now? Because usually the
I can
healthy
run the
number
number.
is usually around the 3 months supply.
Yeah, I can run the number,
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's gonna be pretty high.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on which market you're in, I mean, I service multiple areas in Georgia. I mean, you may have lower here and higher here, but I mean, we're all sitting on the market with our listings.
Mm-hmm. So for folks that are listening, we're seeing issues with not just like there's a lot of inventory, the prices are going down. One new thing that for me as someone that I've been experiencing, and I don't know if Quentin, you've been seeing it, is that after all the like after January, once Trump came in and all the ICE stuff start coming in, I've been seeing personally my tenants from multiple markets. I've invested in multiple and all of them have been affected, especially some of my Hispanic ones. They're just fleeing, they're not renewing. I'm doing the best I can to keep them, but they're not staying. Are you seeing something similar to that? Because for us, our rent has gone down in everywhere.
I don't know how much politics is playing into it. I like to blame him for a lot of certain anyway, but like um what I'm seeing across the board is we had a influx in supply, right? So
Yeah.
like across the country, when you see the trickle down from A apartments, B apartments, all the way down to C apartments,
Mhm.
they're just giving concessions, right? So it's like what was normally somebody that was a 3-2 house renter, if the economy starts getting bad, now they're getting concessions in a 3-2 apartment and everybody's getting compressed down, right?
Mhm.
So it's like that's where we're seeing a slowdown, right? And it's seasonal, right? So it's like if you're looking to buy now, I would just get really aggressive on the pricing because that person isn't getting cash flow anyway. So you're coming in with the ability to actually be like, you're distressed, So it's like there's certain if you're in the buyer's market right now and you're not going to be super leveraged, I think you could take advantage of your positioning on it, because essentially, like, my favorite is somebody who's an all cash owner, right? So it's like I can come in either creative or I can come in cash, but I don't have to go in so high because his equity is, it's so high, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, you really need four, or is 350 going to make a difference, right? To me, that 50 makes a big difference because that's my renovation budget, right? And what really impacts it for me is that if I can go lower on the price, but the appraised value is not going to come down because I got it better.
Mhm.
So it just creates more margin for me, in that spread. But to your point, like as a renter, yeah, we're seeing a lot of um more time to refill, even in our world. And like, I don't know where you guys are seeing it, and like where what the rents are. If you guys are 15, 18 to $2,400 rents, like, we're getting beat up, like a lot of my tenants I have like 36 tenants right now, like they're getting hours cut, like they're
Mhm.
having problems getting paid on their side, right? So it's like it's trickling down, you know.
I've seen it too because we with 11 duplexes we have 22 families, and out of the blue, like maybe during the summer or so, we had like 5 units just suddenly going like, I'm losing my job, or
Yeah.
I can't no longer renew, and like just all these vacancies started happening all in one go. And I think we have a tenant that's like just got laid off or something, and they're moving out in the month. So we're seeing it starting to trickle down. And our rent was at 1,500 and it's getting to
Ooh.
12 to 13. I know. And it's just pretty, pretty large jump in very, very short time.
Does anybody do Section 8 or government?
I haven't, but I know a lot of folks do. And the good part is that
Yeah,
it's more, oh, actually, we thought it was steady, but I've actually been hearing from some of our investors that because I think back in November, they didn't get paid
they
because
got
the
cut.
government
They
shut
they they,
down.
Because of
they cut
government.
down.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like those have not all fully like gotten paid back yet. So what you thought it was stable is not super. But I feel like right now it's because things are so volatile. That's actually a really good time for investors to really sink their teeth in. I think it's probably going to be even a little worse. Like now is a really good time, but between now for the next maybe 2 months or something, I think there's going to be more coming onto this because there's a lot of people who won't be able to last through winter or January. Like they're going to try to hold on, like, hey, I'm going to hold on to January. Maybe the rental market will get better. But I would probably say like folks who are coming in, if they can put in a really solid offer, like the all cash, like just to show that they can close, they can go for lower pricing. And I would say factor in a larger reserve for the vacancies and
hmm
then a little bit more for your renovations. Do it right now. And then
yeah.
that way hold it, but hold it for longer and expecting that rent and then not underwriting the rent as what they were using previously. Like be a little bit more conservative, stay steady, or potentially even dropping a little bit more, but holding it for a little bit more time and then let it go back up. But
I
And
got
they
it.
that's
I have
definitely the word is conservative.
conservative.
yeah.
A lot
I
of
got
people are looking at the highest number and they're like, I can push this. No.
yeah. I got a
Mhm.
fun one for you. Ready?
Yeah.
Um, Airbnb distressed. So
Yes.
like,
Mm.
data is real. So you can actually go book a
Mhm.
Airbnb or look at the calendar. And if you see a lot of white
Mhm.
and not a lot of booked, that person's probably struggling.
Mhm.
And then you just kind of back into finding out who owns that house. Because they're just probably trying to survive right now. So like for me, it comes in as a double whammy because it comes with furniture, right? Because
Mm, so
my
you guys
end,
can use it too.
right. So my end exit for me is like I save roughly 50% on my furniture because I'm buying a distressed, from somebody who is trying to get out from what they're doing. And most of these guys came in, the bad ones, they came in 20, 21, and 22.
Mhm.
So they're sub six, so they're sub five on their interest rate. So if you can go creative, that's a simple way to go in with an entry fee. But like,
Mhm.
it's you can get really creative right now because there's like quiet distress. Like
Hmm.
people aren't. It's not like The Big Short. There's not like a parade of foreclosures, even though there's a ton of foreclosures going on. But like, if you can identify pockets of distress, you can still find really good deals.
And I like that
And
you
that's
brought up the
interesting.
Airbnb thing because I want to say a couple of years back, 2021, 2022, on social media, there were so many gurus that were trying to sell $10,000. Let me teach you how to set up an Airbnb.
Yeah,
You're going to get
yeah.
the highest tax write-offs because there's a short-term rental loophole.
It's
And
all
then
the
that's the
craze.
ones that get sucked in because they're trying to maximize all those tax savings, but they're doing it where it's like it's really based on Airbnbs and the high valuations and their expectations of that rent. But once they really factored in the amount of work that they put in, the cleaners, the fixes, all of that, you know what? Perfectly frank, they pretty much overpaid. They would have
Hmm.
gotten the same results as if they bought an LTR and they would have
Hmm.
spent less.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fees for the platform. I mean,
Yeah.
all the things.
Right. And I've been seeing a lot of people trying to pivot to like the midterm rentals, but it's still the same thing. You're going to have vacancies for months until you get something. So
Yeah.
it's like sometimes, like for preferences, like it's not really about doing all these weird, crazy shit and trying to maximize your income, but it's doing something that's steady, like even the LTRs or like simple rentals or things that are more recession proof, things that people will always need. But try to, and you can't time the market really. So, but right now it's just we're luckier than normal because we don't really have, we haven't seen this type of buyer's market in many, many years. And
Hmm.
we have that flexibility to try and lowball and so-called time the market. That's the best that we can do for this point.
In 5 years, you're going to appreciate the fact that you
Mhm.
bought it this year,
Yep.
right? Even if you got it at 6, right? Like I have a
Yeah.
DSCR coming in at under 7. It's like
Right.
6.25 or something like that. For a
Hmm.
DSCR, my other loans are 8.25 and I
Mhm.
cash flow. Like it's obnoxious, but now they're coming in under 7. Like that's a real differential in number.
Yeah, I quoted 5.99 the other day for a client.
Wait,
Oh
for
hell yes.
75,
DSCR?
75% cash out, 820 credit score. Yeah. That's some
Wait,
really good
Timmy,
pricing.
seriously, I got like a conventional loan and that was a 6 days ago. Like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. I just closed on it. Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It sounds like you did it wrong. You should have talked to him first.
Well, also I wasn't thinking of getting a DSCR for like I'm a W-2 person.
Yeah.
And I think also the cool changes of this year was the big bill was that they brought in back the 100% bonus
Bonus.
depreciation. Yeah. So I think we are really, really lucky to be able to, implement some of these right now this time. Because it was going to be phasing out soon. So,
It was down to like 60, going down to 40,
yeah.
you know? So it's a big differential. But like what I liked about what you said, honestly, is if you're buying a rental, don't guess who the renters are. Like, have a pretty goddamn good idea who's renting in the area that you're renting. Like, don't come at me with, like, oh, I can go to Furnish Finders and find traveling nurses. I'm like,
Mhm,
bro,
mhm,
that little regional hospital doesn't have traveling nurses. And the person who's already servicing those traveling nurses already has that business locked up.
mhm.
So, we got Jesse over there talking about like midterm and these contracts. Like, that's hard. Like, there's only so many AIEs. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so many of these revenue streams. So tighten up. Like, figure out who the renter is before you go hoping that it's gonna fill, because paying the mortgage sucks on
And
rental
it's actually,
properties.
that's the thing is people think it's really hard to figure out what the type of tenants are, but like it's actually not that bad.
No.
If they literally just go and freaking visit for a weekend, drive around the houses, take a look at the type of cars, just people
Yeah.
watch around what 6 or 7 o'clock, see who is coming in, check out the lights. You can see if their houses are decorated. Like you can figure out what kind of tenant
Yeah.
pretty easily.
And with all the AI, I mean, AI is crazy. It'll tell you target, it'll tell you how much people are making in the
Mhm.
area, things like that. I mean, there's just too many tools out there.
They do have that about the tenants and how much they make, but I don't find that accurate enough until
Mm-mm.
you really drive down there. Because going back into a story that I had in Houston, so I was investing in this multifamily. They told me that within 1 mile radius, that the people average age was like 32, 35, and they were making 80,000. And then I was suspicious on that because I bought in because based on that, they said there's a Whole Foods across the street or whatever bullshit. And then last year I went and sneaked into the apartment and I walked around and like, bro, these are all Section 8 folks. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
tell by the cars, the way they're dressed, like just looking around, like this is not, they're not
Yeah.
80,000. Like, nah.
Yeah.
So I
That, that
would not
that's
trust
a
that.
big one too.
I
Annie.
know.
Like I got West Coast investors that are yelling at me because their pad split is like it keeps churning. And I'm like, bro, that's on like Cleveland Avenue. Like I don't go down there.
See?
So I'm like, how about this? Like the cardinal rule I tell out of staters is like you park your ass there on a Friday night at
Thank you.
9:30
See, I like that time. Yep.
because at the end of
Everyone
the
should be home.
day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're expecting to rent to a young 20 some odd working professional woman. She ain't
Right.
walking to this house at 9:30 at night because like
Mm-mm.
that's not happening. So it's like you it and the pictures you get are daytime tours
There we
on
go.
an iPhone with a realtor who's trying to sell the house from the previous guy who knew it wasn't going to rent. Like
Mm,
that's the poopy part about that side. Like go there and put eyeballs or trust somebody else enough to tell me what you think and send them at 9 o'clock at night. But like live it like the renter. If you're going to be a landlord, live it like the renter and understand why it's unappealing,
mhm.
right? Because that's what kills your income is they don't
Right.
want to pay or they don't want to show up because they know, it's
Right.
crazy.
I highly agree. I really want to recommend, or not even recommend, just emphasize how important it is for our investors to fly out to where you're going to go and walk that area. Like I know you're going to see a great deal, but it doesn't cost that much just to fly out for a weekend or a day or two. Just when this is one of your largest investments that you'll ever do.
300,000 and you don't want to put up 500 for a flight. Like it just doesn't make any sense to
Mm.
me. Right. I got the same problem with hosts that don't want to pay for like professional photography. Like, bro, you're a penny wise and dollar foolish. Like those,
Goodness.
it just doesn't make sense.
Especially
Right.
when you have a nice listing, you literally don't have to do anything other than take nice pictures. And here's a little bit of extra rent because you're getting more eyeballs on there, more
Yeah.
attention.
But instead,
It's
you get the people that are like this, and you could see them in the
the
mirror.
the thumbs in there or they're in the
Yeah.
mirror. Yeah. And and they're like, no, AI will fix that. Listen here, fella.
No.
No, it's
But we have to
these.
remind people it's not passive income. It's actually pretty active.
Yeah, and like you don't learn your lessons until your hands get dirty or
Hmm.
you pay your tuition, right? So it's like
Mhm.
sometimes people get lucky on their first deal, but like
But that's not the norm.
no, like
Right.
do the work,
And the thing is, a lot of the things that it did work earlier in the pandemic when interest rates were in the threes. Well, whatever you did then is not necessarily going to work now. Probably not going to work now because
Are,
just
you said something earlier. Are you getting into a lot of multifamily now?
no, well, for my personal investments, I had a lot of quads, so 4 and 8
Ooh,
units. Those were mostly on the fine part, except I had some in Houston that were in the C-class Hispanic area that we were severely hit by ice and a really bad property
northeast
manager.
up there.
My north one, that was an 8 unit. That one's great. That one's a cash cow, but I had some in the east side,
Okay,
and it was I had to sell one
yeah,
boarded up. It was that bad. There's
Wow.
the crime was so bad. It was
yeah.
we were getting people breaking in and squatters like nonstop. And they ripped out all of my copper
The
wiring multiple
copper.
times.
Did
I
they
lost
take the
20.
air ducts? Like I got so bad. I heard somebody took the ducts out of the damn house. I'm like, really, dude? They went in there and ripped the
No,
ductwork out?
not the ducts, but they still all my ACs
Uh,
twice.
Oh, yeah.
More than twice. So I lost
yeah.
about 20 ACs in about
Oh
13
my
months.
You
God.
didn't put the lock boxes on
It
them?
it was on.
Oh, really?
They
Yeah.
they
Jeez.
cut through everything. They literally ripped through all of my copper wires. They jumped on top of the roof, broke into the attic, and there were holes going through the house. And they were like I can see like they were trying to step in or something. They tried like breaking into another unit, and I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into? It was a complete nightmare. Oh, and then funny, not funny story. Just a couple days ago, thank God I sold my property, but they found a dead body. One of my tenants died in there. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That's your Thanksgiving gift to the new owner. Oops.
Biohazard. Oh my
Yikes.
God.
I know.
Yeah.
I sold like end of October, and then I'm like, ooh, thank God.
That would have been bad from well, I mean, that's bad in general, but disclosure perspective, if you were trying to sell,
Ah,
if they
non-disclosure state.
asked about it.
Only if they're smart enough to ask, but technically
Yeah.
Non-disclosure
non-disclosure.
state.
And I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
isn't Georgia also
Yeah.
non-disclosure?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to disclose.
You wouldn't be able to. But
But
luckily,
if
nothing
somebody
bad. Bad now.
specifically asks, and you have an agent, then it's material fact. But
Mm,
Correct.
mm, mm.
So that's
Oh,
why I'm
that
like,
crazy.
that
it's
that's my
fun.
favorite, by the way. I don't know if you guys
What's
do
one?
this. Is
Dead bodies.
no, you get an inspection
Yeah.
and you send it to the selling agent. Like when the selling agent doesn't have an inspection, non-disclosed, I'm like, let me go get an inspection and send it to you.
Well, that's a pretty obvious that you should be able to do
now,
with
now
inspection.
like yeah, it's a big one.
The a new strategy I've been learning lately, and I think it's because probably like me and Ray, we've been doing all of this stuff so long, is you get in on the offer, it's already pretty good, but then you get the inspection, and then last day, actually, what I would be doing is last day of your options period, start going like, okay, there's hella shit in there. I want an even bigger discount.
Oh my
So that's a
god.
new strategy I've been learning. But just kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez. Great. That's why you like working with Ray. Ray's like, fine, I'll do that for you.
No, no,
And
I'm the
it
seller. That's
depends.
the thing.
Oh,
I'm the
oh,
seller, so I'm
oh,
getting these, and I'm like, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I did for my purchase. So I got something for that was it was on the market for 455. It was perfectly fine. I lowballed at 410, and then we're like, okay. Well, I didn't wait up to sell for 420 because there's really nothing wrong with the house, but I was like,
oh.
yay.
All right, ladies, I got to roll. I appreciate Annie. So good to see you. Ray, pleasure to meet you.
Good to
Yes,
see you,
nice to
Quinn.
meet you.
All
And
right.
Quinn, we're gonna do SareCon again in end of July. If Pat Split wants to come out and hang out with us again, we're gonna
Let
be
me
in Orange
know.
County again.
Sounds cool. I'll talk to y'all.
Awesome. Thank
See you
you.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right. So the call did go a little long, but I love that we had all these conversations and all these strategies that really works not only in Atlanta, but also for other markets. So I'm going to be sending out this recording for those who logged in and didn't show up, but I'm really glad I got so many of our Atlanta locals to be able to contribute their ideas so that they can get a better understanding of the different type of properties and investments in the neighborhoods that we have in Atlanta. So if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to Ray directly. We can get you all the hookups. But until then, thank you guys. I'll chat with you guys soon.
Thank
Talk
you.
Thanks,
soon.
Annie.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Sammy. Bye, Ray. Nighty
Bye.
night.